Space Cowboy Books presents Simultaneous Times, a science and speculative fiction podcast. Short stories to stir the imagination by contemporary authors.
Breathing Night by Laura Blackwell, with music by TSG, read by Jean-Paul Garnier. How could people sleep at night? The combined power of every light in Sarah's apartment couldn't burn away the dark. Every night, she felt a fluttering in her chest, a pressure in her lungs, a tickle in her throat, and then coughed up something that looked like gunpowder. If she'd been able to expel the substance during the day, perhaps she could go see her doctor, but she didn't want to show up with a container full of coughed up, mysterious powder. That would just get her a diagnosis of delusional parasitosis. At least, the internet was full of suggestions. Many sufferers of vague illnesses recommended exercise. Taking walks cropped up frequently as a healthy mix of exercise and brain stimulation. Sarah lived in a low-crime neighborhood. The apartment felt oppressive tonight. So she stretched her hunched shoulders into her coat, put her keys in her pocket, and set out. Cold air prickled her face. Sarah pulled up her hood and ducked her chin into her collar, turtle-like. Her footfalls thumped loudly against the concrete, and a gust of wind skidded a hamburger wrapper across her path with a sinister shush. Night closed in, pressing her head down as if in shame. The flutter in her chest sped up, making her breaths shallow. The streetlights emitted only pale pools of light. The store signs only brief blurts of color. If only she could duck into a brightly lit convenience store to browse overpriced liquor and instant ramen, until she felt too embarrassed to leave without buying something. But Sarah knew her neighborhood, and nothing would be open. The tickle built in her throat, signaling the nightly cough. She closed her fingers around a paper napkin in her pocket. Turning back would feel like defeat. Sarah forced herself to round another corner, forced herself to raise her head in case someone else were out, and saw an open sign shining out at her. She'd never noticed this tiny storefront, perhaps because it was so unassuming. Gray curtains covered the windows, and the door was painted wood, not glass. With a flutter like beating wings in her lungs, Sarah opened the door, barely noting the sign that read, Institute for Metaphorical Ailments, and below that, Walk-in Clinic. The gray-walled room held only a few mismatched office chairs and a table with a microscope. No reception desk, no pamphlets for medications or procedures. She avoided eye contact with the only other person in the room, a big woman wearing a bright pink retro dress, perfect cat eye makeup, and an expectant look. Sarah would stay just until the impending coughing fit was over. Sarah scrabbled the napkin out of her pocket and coughed violently into it, lights flashing at the edges of her vision. Frightened that she might lose consciousness, she lowered herself, wheezing, into a chair. Black powder escaped the edges of the napkin and clung to her hands like laser printer toner. The chair next to hers creaked softly, and when Sarah had her breath again, she looked up with a muttered, "Sorry." "I don't mind." The woman in the next chair smiled sympathetically and held out an ungloved hand for the sooty-looking napkin. "That's what we're here for." Sarah clung to the napkin. Her eyes darted around the room, looking for a wastebasket. "Don't worry, I wash my hands a lot." The hand stayed outstretched. "If we look at that under a microscope, we may learn something. You can stay in your chair if you like." Sarah didn't want to be trapped for some kind of snake oil sales pitch, but the room was small and uncluttered. There was nothing to block Sarah from a hasty exit, should she need it. She surrendered the napkin and followed the strange woman across the room to the microscope. The woman flattened the napkin onto the microscope stage and clipped it down. She looked into the eyepiece for just a few seconds before she spoke again. "You poor thing. Is nighttime hard for you?" That didn't sound professional, even if she was right. "What kind of doctor are you?" "None at all," the woman said cheerfully. "You can call me Mercedes. And doctors are great, but I'm betting you haven't seen the right ones or you wouldn't be here." "And why do you think nighttime would be hard? For me?" Mercedes lifted her face. "Because these are scales from doubt moth wings. Most people who are infested with doubt moths have a harder time at night." Fear jerked at Sarah's limbs, and she was backing to the door when Mercedes called out, "Remember, we specialize in metaphorical ailments here." She didn't move to follow. "The scope's dual-headed. Would you like to see?" Sarah did. She crept back feeling guilty, embarrassed that she thought of leaving, and embarrassed that she wanted to stay a little longer. Mercedes waited without comment. Through the microscope, the moth scales, if that's what they were, appeared ridged and serrated like seashells or teeth. No wonder they hurt. Just asking wouldn't do any harm. How do you treat them? "We don't treat anything here," said Mercedes. "Doubt moths are caused by illnesses treatable with real medicine and real therapies. I'm not qualified to diagnose them. Your doctor's office should be able to refer you, but if not, you can find a psychiatrist or a counselor through other channels. Friends, convenient locations, health insurance." Mercedes scrunched her nose at the last one. "You can stay here until you feel ready to go home. Although, I should warn you, it can get crowded at this hour." She took a deep breath before she realized it. She was taking a deep breath. The flutter in her chest was more of a tickle. The seizing in her throat, a mere catch. "I feel better already," she told Mercedes. Not all better, but it was a start. Mercedes nodded, her eyes soft and kind. "We hear that a lot. Once people realize that these metaphorical ailments are rooted in physical ones, and the brain is just part of the body, there can be a sense of relief that the illness is treatable." Sarah was at the door before she turned and asked, "What do I owe you?" Smoothing her dress, Mercedes laughed. "The clinic is free of charge. Instead, please think about what you owe yourself." All the way home, Sarah's limbs felt heavy, her lungs clearer. In the morning, she could run some internet searches and make some calls. Just knowing that, she might be able to sleep the rest of the night. Care of Your Electric Sheep by F.J. Bergmann, with music by Oneirothopter, read by Jean-Paul Garnier. Welcome, new owner. Your electric sheep companion robo-animal, lawn care management system, and Home Defender Security Perimeter Patrol has been designed for the ultimate in ownership satisfaction. Please follow all instructions below for maximum function and enjoyment. 1. Coat care. Static cling can be prevented by a grounded metal collar. We recommend stainless steel. Be sure to use a non-conducting leash. Stains may be removed easily with non-aqueous cleaning solvents. Do not immerse. Never allow your electric sheep to enter a bathtub or other body of water, with or without you. Sunken spots in the fleece should be filled in with steel wool, dryer lint or sustainable renewable forest product Excelsior, and non-aerosol spray paint to an appropriate hue of owner's choice. 2. Companionship. Your sheep will readily learn to come when you call its name and perform simple tricks such as ball retrieval. Do not use inflatable balls. Do not reach into sheep's oral cavity. Your sheep is programmed to be very cuddly. Only under-tail duct should be used for recreational activities. See 3B below. 3. Sustenance. A. Any vegetal or cellulose matter ingested will be ejected from sheep's under-tail duct in due course, usually within 5 to 7 days, as neatly compacted pellets, suitable for animal feed, stove fuel, or composting. Warning: pellets may be inconsistent in size or composition. Not recommended for recreational drug manufacture. B. Feeding non-vegetal substances is not recommended and may void warranty. In case of accidental ingestion of non-vegetal materials, turn off switch located inside throat passage, first folding back the lawn care Home Defender fang blades, and schedule non-routine maintenance by an approved facility. In case of accidental severing of body parts, turn off switch as soon as practical. If body part can be recovered, refrigerate while transporting to medical facility. Do not allow your sheep to stray beyond the established perimeter of property. If sheep is allowed to develop a taste for living flesh, warranty automatically becomes null and void. Skeletal by Elad Haber, with music by Fog Machine, read by Jean-Paul Garnier. A 1,000 years ago, this was a thriving world. But it was a ruse, a lie. Underneath the lush green trees and the vast oceans and fake blue sky, there was technology and massive machines. A factory of sorts with two purposes: to keep the simulation going above and to keep alive something within the planet's core. Or so we think. We hadn't reached the core yet. I've watched the progress from my little window in one of the many asteroids caught in the giant egg's gravitational pull. A series of triangle-shaped pieces have been removed from the exterior shell, revealing the machinery hidden below. Every day, thousands of us fly through the cavities and into the massive interior. We call it a train, even though there's no track, just stars. 50 of us crowd into a space designed for 10, maybe 15. Add the sexual tension, and it's a tense commute. I've slept with half the occupants in the car, not out of great attraction or desire, but rather necessity. I get cold on the rocks. I don't hold on to any troublesome attachments, but many of my colleagues aren't as disciplined. I'm studying something on my handheld when a large guy squeezes up close. "Cat," he says. "Yeah, Jack? You coming to the dig later?" "Maybe. Today's the big day. You said that yesterday." Jack makes a kind of harumph sound and shoulders through the crowd to bother someone else. He's one with a lot of annoying feelings. Jealousy, pride, even love. Wastes of time. The train car plunges into darkness, and then we're inside the open cavity of the egg. A decade of excavation has resulted in huge interior rigs with lights, elevators, and roaming spider arms. All the man-made scaffolding reminds me of the skeletal insides of an animal. With a lurch, the train stops. Miners, soldiers, and scientists step out, chatting. There are multiple corporations with a vested interest in the egg, each with their own territory. Hence the guns. Security is always tight. The grunts branch off to the dig site, the southernmost point of the excavation so far. They are already high-fiving each other and gesticulating. It's been the big day for at least a week. Still, there's a buzz in the air and a little extra spunk in everyone's step, as if today might actually be the day. My all-female team don our lab coats and sterile gloves. I'm probably the most well-educated of the group. I could have gotten a position anywhere on Earth or Mars, but I was curious about the galaxy. I wanted to see what's out there, as I told my parents so many times. "Kitty cat," I hear as the door slides open. It's my boss, a white-haired oldie with a belly like a pumpkin, calling me over to his workstation. "Got something to show you." His problem is he thinks he's funny. He's got dumb nicknames for everyone and laughs at his own jokes. Sealed in airtight containers, pieces of bulkhead or ancient manuals are preserved along the walls of the lab. I make my way over to the desk and make sure to keep some distance from his wandering hands. On one of his 3 screens, a close-up of a panel, the language of the egg's builders highlighted by the computer. Flyouts and calculations scrolling around it. Possible matches. "Been working on this all night," he says. "Exciting stuff." I squint at the markings. They should be familiar to me after all these months, but they look so different than what we consider language. Where did this image come from? "From the grunts." He waves his hand and a wireframe representation of the dig comes on his far screen. Right around where they are about to break through to a new level. He reaches for my forearm, squeezes. "Ugh. Look at this," he says. The screen zooms into the last line of markings. The computer extrapolates based on his algorithm. It starts typing. G-A-L-A-C-T-I-C. He squeezes my arm again in excitement. D-E-S. He sighs. That's as far as I got. Thankfully, he releases my arm. Maybe destination? Could it be the actual resting place of the people who built the egg? Very exciting. I'm already walking away. Send it to my station. Back at my desk, I bring up my own algorithm, and go through the image line by line. I double-check my boss's work and find a bunch of errors. The morning is gone before I even get to the final line. There's a lot of chatter behind, and a few of my colleagues get up around the same time. "Cat," says one of them. "They're about to break through. You coming?" I shake my head. "No, I want to keep working." She shrugs and flutters away. The lab is quiet, which is perfect for me. I dig into the last line. Galactic seems right, but it's not destination. No. My system starts to spit out a possibility. DESTRUCTION. That's when I hear the first shots, ringing across the quiet of the lab. There's a crash as something explodes. I fumble for my handheld and dial into Jack. He picks up. The image on the screen, a mess of flying sparks and splashes of blood. "Cat," he shouts, "don't come down here." I'm already breathing heavy. I don't know why. What happened? Something came out of the holes. A lot of something. They're killing everyone. The screen plummets to the floor. Another round of bullets and blasts. I see something black and gooey grab at Jack. He's still shouting at me, "Go, get out of..." The screen cuts off. There's a rumble as the equipment and sealed containers rattle and crash to the floor. The sounds of screaming and gunfire are impossibly close. How does the old saying go about curiosity? In this episode of Simultaneous Times, you heard Breathing Night by Laura Blackwell, with music by TSG. Care of Your Electric Sheep by F.J. Bergmann, with music by Onirathon. And Skeletal by Elad Haber, with music by Fog Machine. Theme music by Dane Lusko. Be sure to visit us at our bookstore in Joshua Tree, California, or visit us online at spacecowboybooks.com.